Hey there, welcome back to the virtual table. A couple of things. I actually had a few folks check in with me. Hey Jeff, it's been a month, you haven't posted a video. What's going on? And I mean, I'm embarrassed to even tell you what happened. Um, I washed my phone like it was inside of my jeans, and I washed my phone inside of my washing machine. And my phone is my camera. So the phone has been like waterlogged and it's functional again. Like everything about it is working, but my camera, for whatever reason, just won't work. When I go to turn my camera on, it's just a blank screen. And it's the only camera I have for recording my playthroughs. So currently, I am without a camera. I do have an iPad camera, and I was using that for a few games, but recently the audio cuts out. In fact, I'm trying to remember which video series it was. I think it was the Imperialism game from GMT. It's the one where you're either England or France. I know I'm getting the name not quite right, but anyways, in that particular one, the audio cut out like constantly, and people couldn't follow what I was saying at times, and it's because I don't know what the issue is. The iPad's old, but I realized I can't use that as a reliable camera, so I have been without a camera. I know you guys see ads on my YouTube channel. I did turn those on, and my goal for this channel has never been to make money. And the ads have given me some money. I mean, as of April, what is today? The 15th, 2021, I've made $212. And I've been doing this for 3 years. So I'm not making a lot of money. And a new camera is going to cost me like $600 or $700 because I got to get a new phone, basically. I could try to get something cheaper. I just don't have a solution at the moment. However, this software, I can record what's on my PC, no problem. So I was like, okay, let's at least get something out and show you a PC game I've been playing. And so without further ado, let's jump in. I got Crusader Kings 3. I am very new to this. Not as new as I was for like Cold Waters or the Panzer Corps 2. Like in those, I was super noob. This one, I'm mildly noob. I've played this at least for 20 hours now. I'm not saying that I'm great at it, but I do have some of the major mechanics down. I struggle a bit with how to manage Secession well. And also, I've seen people, do things where they take different skill points from different skill trees and mix them together. I'm not there. If I try to go into one skill tree, I just go into that skill tree and I stick with it. So there's some things I do that is probably not optimal. And I always say this because when you get into a PC game, some people are super min-max optimal, and I try to do that a little bit, but I'm not super good. Anyways, the music is off because when you do YouTube videos, the music people get upset and you have copyright violations. So I don't have the music on. It's a very nice music that comes with the game. I like the EU4 music a bit more, but it has more of a rock theme to it, whereas this one's more, melodic. Is that the right word? So let's go ahead and get started with the game here. All right, so there's two time periods to start in. You could start in 867 or 1066. And you can see here, like, if you see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one's blotted out, and then 5. The blotted out just means because that's the one that's selected. So if you select this one, it switches. What it's doing is it's giving you recommended starts. And then it tries to tell you whether it's easy or medium or hard. I think no matter where you start, the game can be hard, especially if you don't know what you're doing. The easy starts probably really are easy. I think they can be easy for different reasons, though. Like, for example, the whole Ireland thing is part of the tutorial, and this guy here, the Duke of Munster, he's easy just because Ireland tends to be an easy start, because there's no clear winner over there. And to be quite honest, the rest of the world doesn't care about Ireland. I mean, you're sort of on your own little... I mean, metaphorically speaking and literally, you were on your own island. The Duke Vratislav of Bohemia, this one is only easy because there's a Holy Roman Empire here, and it's at your back, and I think you're actually a part of the home. I haven't played this one very much, so we can dive in and take a quick peek. But basically, yeah, let's do that. So let me just go through the rest of this. So obviously, you could have Tuscany as a start, the Duke of Apulia, which I actually recommend this one. This is a nice one. And I've never tried this guy. So that is, there's 3 tabs here that all say 1066. This is all the same game, by the way. It's just that this one is, like, the theme is rags to riches. So these are all poor areas that you can become rich with. And when you click on one, it actually gives you a little bit of the real history behind, who they are, what they were doing. I thought that was really cool. There's so many things about this game that's cool. I was not a big fan of CK2. I love Paradox games, and I tend to buy them because I really like supporting Paradox. Europa Universalis 4 is almost a near-perfect game for me. There's some things I don't like about it, but like in all things, but what a wonderful game that is. This one is not there yet for me, but it's close. Like, I really do like this game. I don't know much about the history period. Like, I know the imperialism era a lot better than I know. This is sort of like the medieval era. Not quite as good on the history. But what I'm trying to get at here is, like, these 3 tabs are all the same game. So this is just focusing on Iberia and some starts you can do there. And then, of course, England. You could be Scotland, you could be England, and then some Vikings along the way. Now, in any game, you can say play as any ruler, which will... the problem with it is, of course, it takes a bit to load. And then what it does is it... Sorry for the loud... That's gotten loud, actually. But this is basically the entire map of the game. And just so you can see, it is huge. It goes all the way into India. And what would that be? Like, it starts getting into, just barely touching into Southeast Asia. I would say, Tibet area, and maybe Western China, and then up here in Mongolia area. So it is a huge map, and it goes deep down into Africa as well. And yes, you could play as any single nation that you see here. I don't know what the advantages are of one versus another. There's so much to this. I have been primarily focusing on Italy and England in my playthroughs. I do like to play as a Christian nation, largely because I can identify with that the most, when I'm making... Because you have to make, like, moral choices in the game. And, like, for example, when you play as a tribal in, a Viking or whatever... they do cannibalism and stuff like that, and it's normal for them. It's not even, like, immoral. So you have to, like, your mind has to be different, right? And I'm not there. So I'm not saying that it's not fun or anything like that. I'm just saying that, you have to make the right choices for the way you're supposed to be playing and what your religion is and what your culture is. And I've never even tried an Indian culture, especially from that era. Like I said, I'm really blank on my history, so I don't even know what it would be like to play as these yet. It's just such a vast game, and so many hours. Okay, so some key things here. This is the 1066 start, and what I was trying to explain before, as you can see here, this is the Holy Roman Empire, and it's just one big mega thing, and then there's the Emperor, who's this guy? Kaiser Heinrich, right? So he's the emperor, and basically this whole region that you see here is his. And then you see all these little flags coming up. Those are dukes or duchies, and the name changes sometimes based on your culture. Obviously, the Western Christian realms call them duchies and dukes, but like it, it could be different. Like even in England, I think it's different. But anyways, this is the Bohemia one, and you may recognize this guy. This is that easy start that they were talking about. So this guy is the Duke. Remember the duchy thing I was talking about? The Duke of Bohemia, and they were saying that this was an easy start, right? So why was it an easy? So you could see like it went from this big region to just all these different colored regions. And so what that is this is the duchy view. So Bohemia, if you play as this guy, you're in charge of this land here, and you have fealty to the emperor here. So basically, some of your tax money has to go to him. But you get your own tax money, and you have your own autonomy underneath him. But that's the reason why this is easy. Because you have this giant empire that you're a part of that will support you in wars, and you're butting up against Poland and Hungary, but that's really it. You just have them to contend with. So even as the Duke of Bohemia, right, you'll notice that there's little flags that showed up inside of Bohemia as well. So this is your flag. What you could do is click on like the county of Brno here. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but if you click on that, this is now a county. And inside the county is the count, right? That's the title. And you could play as him. So this game lets you play as anybody that really, but you have to at least have a title. So there's, court members that don't have a title at all. You couldn't play as one of those, but so within Bohemia, I could just play as this guy right here. And then this is the territory that I would control. And then I would owe taxes to him, and then he would owe taxes to him. But that's basically how this plays out. And you can see here, like this would be me, and then this is my heir. So I have an 11-year-old, probably a son, I'm guessing. So he would inherit the throne in case I die. And then, of course, the liege is this guy here, and then his liege is that guy there. Does that make sense? It should. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but it's a key part of the game. I have not played 1066 very much. I keep playing the other mode more. So we're going to go ahead and go back. And then we have 867. Now, what's interesting is in 1066, Christianity is just about everywhere, in Europe at least. Like even getting into Russia in those regions and Sweden, Norway, you'll start to see Christianity in all those places. When in 867, that's not the case. It's barbarians, and I'm using that term loosely. It's tribal, I guess is how the game refers to it. So let's, jump into there. So in 867, there was Lotharingia, so there was no Holy Roman Empire, at least the way it is in 1066, which was what? The Battle of Hastings. I remember that from history class. Charles the Bald has West Francia here. He's a very interesting one. King Louis, the King of Italy, is very weak. They say it's a medium game. I would agree. I think you can manage it, but gosh darn it, I've gotten myself annihilated with him several times. The Duke of Bavaria, I've never played. Same with Ludwig. He's got an interesting story, because I guess this Prince Karlman is Ludwig's son, but he sort of broke off. It's an interesting dynamic. The Great Adventures are here. The Duke of Novgorod is, of course, he's tribal, so you're going to deal with the cannibalism choices and stuff like that. This is an interesting one I've never even tried. The Magyar Confederation. This is one way down in Africa. Never tried her. I mean, there's just so much to do. This Count of Montague, he is tribal, and he is insane. Like, we haven't talked about characters yet, and their skills. But this guy, when we go into the custom mode and look at it, this guy here, he's 52. He has a mountainous army, like a really strong army, and he's like your example of like a Goliath. I mean, he's got this massive number of skills, and he is just built for war. He's a beast. So you have this tiny little county here. That's it. It's just you and this little county, and there's like, but you're amazing. Like nobody's gonna defeat you. You can basically go to war with whoever you want and probably win. But that's what makes the game interesting with him, because you have to, like, there's so many places you could go, or you can like get on a boat and just go down into Africa and start slaughtering and taking over territory down there. But, you know, the world's your oyster. Or you could stay here and try to take France, which I think would be a bigger challenge, to be quite honest. But anyways, we'll look at him closer, because you can't. The information here is lacking compared to when you click on Play as Any Ruler. And then the Wrath of the Northmen. This is who I play the most. It's actually labeled as hard. I do quite well with this guy, and I know he's labeled as hard, but I actually don't think he's very hard. The part that's hard is this is a Viking, this is a Viking, here's a Viking, and here's another one, and they all keep raiding Britain. So, and their armies are usually a lot tougher than yours. So that's the part that can be hard. You can get wiped by the Vikings. That is true. But I think there's things you can do to mitigate it. Like, I frankly think that it's harder to be some of those bigger empires that we just saw. So, here, let me click on this and get in. Alright, so again, it's a big world. Nothing's changed except for maybe the territories are adjusted. Like, this Abbasid Empire, I don't think is there in 1066. So, for example, the Byzantine Empire is pretty powerful. I've tried playing as them several times, and I struggle. Largely because there's just so much to manage, and the problem is you have all these, like, let me zoom in a bit. So you have all these duchies here, and they all want your throne. They want to take it from you, and they can murder you. There's things they can do. And so the game actually is harder, in my mind, to play a big empire than it is to play, for example, a small county. Now, if you're a small county, the difference is I don't have big armies. Here, I can amass a giant army and conquer anybody I want. The problem is if I'm over here conquering the Abbasid Empire, which I can do, then this duchy over here decides to revolt or murder me or whatever they want to do. Next thing I know, my armies are being split, and you can get yourself in situations where even though you have a big army, it's still not big enough, right? Over here, I'm just a tiny county in Salerno, and this Sodonide and this Aglabid, like, they could wipe me out anytime they want. I cannot produce enough armies to take them on. However, you got the Byzantines right next to them, so what you do is you wait for the Byzantines to go to war with them, which they will. I think the Byzantines are already at war with this one at the start of the game, so you can take advantage of that. And since their armies are going to get wiped by the Byzantine Empire, you wait for that to happen, and then you swoop in and take territory. It's possible. Another thing is you can't play as a theocratic nation. So, for example, the Pope here, it's a nation in the game, but you cannot play as the Pope. It's impossible. Right here you can see it says, cannot play theocracies. Another thing when you play this game is when I hover over something, you're going to see a blue circle that will go around like this. And here, watch. See this little blue circle? It appears right here. See that? So when I click on start and then try to go over here, it disappears. You see that? But watch when the blue circle completes, and now I come over, it stays. I don't know why, but that took me a while to figure out. Like, I was getting really frustrated. Like, something would pop up, and I'm like, I want to see what that is. And then you have to wait for the blue circle to complete. Then you can come over, and then if you hover over these blue words, it'll actually tell you, like, tutorial stuff to help you with the game. Now that I understand it, it's awesome. At first, I was like really frustrated with it, but so you can't play as a theocracy. You also can't play as a republic, and that would be Venice here. So Venice is a republic, and you can even see here it says it's an unplayable government form. So I was actually really curious to try a Venice, like I wanted to do it, but it's not even possible. So I don't know, the whole genesis behind why they made that choice, but I guess it just meant the rules would probably go in all kinds of crazy directions if you started to try to play with those different government types. And this game is all about secession, and of course when you have a republic where there's elections, it's hard to have a secession rule, and I can see it. It just it would have been fun to play them. And you can see here, Italy, like I said, this guy is pretty tough, largely because this guy here, this Spoleto Duchy, he doesn't have a lot of loyalty, and you can see here he's deceitful. So he'll tell you he's your best buddy, and meanwhile he's secretly trying to murder you. It's pretty interesting. This one I think is an interesting start. It's not easy because this empire here is stronger than you. So their armies versus your armies, you're not going to win. So you have to be delicate about when you take land, and then maybe ally yourself with Navarra here. So let's get into this one here. This is the that's Brittany, the Count of Montague. So this guy, I mean, just look at him. He already has the big beastie look. But if you right-click on the nation, you can see his stats. So just to put it in perspective, a 10 is average. A 15 is great or good. A 20 is great, and he's at 31. So 31 is amazing. And actually, they call it excellent here. A lot of this we can get into when we start our game, but basically, these are all of his traits. These are things that he got as he was growing up or over time. These are his personality traits, and then these are things that either he got through his education, as a child, or as you play the game and you make those moral choices I was talking about, you can get more and more. And it's also some of these are traits that you get from your skill. So he chose to be a marshal. These are the different ways you could be educated, and then you can get skills and you apply them to various points. So for example, you can see here, he's an overseer. And if I hover over, the overseer gives him 2 marshal, 2 stewardship, and 50% control growth. All of those things mean something. I know they don't mean anything to you if this is your first time seeing the game. They do provide his skills here, which are helpful, but we'll get into that when we start playing. This Count of Montague guy, I can't stress enough, he can be a lot of fun. But obviously you got to have a plan for him, and that plan does not have to be take over France. Like I said, you can just come down here and start taking Africa or whatever. All right, so getting to the area that I tend to play, and like I said, I usually pick this guy right here in Dorset. So this petty kingdom of Wessex. So it's called petty kingdom, but it's a duchy. You can see Aethelred, Aethelwulfson of Wessex is the petty king, which is their way of saying duke. So I guess it's just a British thing. So instead of saying duke, it's petty king. And this is the start. So you would be Alfred, which is historically he's Alfred the Great. I have heard of him. And so what he is he's a duke, or he's basically what would he be? He'd be a count, because he basically has 2 counties, right? He has the earldom of Dorset, which is a county. So and then underneath him. Now, why would you take this guy if he's hard? Well, this guy tends to die within the first couple of years of the game. I don't know why. When you click on him, he's 27 years old, and he's healthy as an ox. Like there's no sickness or anything applied to him, but he does die like within a couple of years. So I think there's some kind of trigger in the game that causes him to get sick, and there is a possibility that he'll have an heir, which right now he doesn't, and you're his brother. So without an heir, you are the heir to his kingdom or his duchy, and that's the key thing. Is you want this guy to die so you can take over. Now you can murder people in this game. However, Alfred has the characteristics of he's just and noble, which means that if you try to do things that are morally against his characteristics, he gains a concept called stress, and stress is bad, very bad. There's nothing good that comes out of stress, and all kinds of major penalties happen, and you can even die from stress. So you don't want to make choices that are against your character code. Now, those deceitful characters down in Italy, you can murder the crap out of people, and in fact, it's in line with their personality. It's when you start to do morally just things down there that you actually create stress for them. So you can't murder your brother. I mean, he's basically noble and just. He's allied with the brother. He's, I guess for all intents and purposes, he loves his brother. But his brother does tend to die in this game, and that's what you're banking on. So when you play as this guy, if his brother doesn't die, then you're screwed. And if he has a child with her, then you're screwed, because all the kingdom goes to the child instead of to him. But with that being said, let's show you the game. So this is who I like to play, or who I've played the most. So I'm most comfortable with him, even though this is actually a hard start. I'll show you what I do. Like I said, I'm not going to guarantee you that it's optimal, but let's dive in. And here you can see his skills. And remember I told you 20 was, actually 20 is excellent in this. I was saying it was great. He's 20 in 3 categories, almost a 4th. Okay? This guy is a beast. He's not like the Count of Montague that has the 30 points here, but 24 is still pretty darn good. Most games you play, you'll be praying to get over 10 with some of your guys. So the fact that you got 3 categories in the 20s, that's awesome. And so let me go ahead, and I like to enable an Iron Man so that way we get achievements. And let's start. Okay, the game always starts paused, and up here is a reminder of what you need to do. This is just sort of like a message board that tells you like things that it wants you to be aware of. Oh, sorry, I had to yawn there. So I'm in line to inherit 14 titles. So yeah, I'm first in line, in fact. So that's what makes this so much fun. Also, I like to play England. When I play EU4, I play England. It's my thing. So it's fun to play England as well with this guy. I can negotiate an alliance with the petty king, who's my liege. So this is the weird part. He's your liege. You owe him tax money, but I'm not necessarily allied with him. So if he goes to war, I don't necessarily have to support him. It's a really weird... I mean, I guess it's how it was back then, but it's a really weird relationship. So I can negotiate an alliance. I have no problem with that. It won't last long if he dies. And then it's saying I can declare war. And what it does is it puts me into this map mode where I can see here is who I can declare war on. So I can go take some of Brittany's area here. This is controlled by a Viking. So that's the reason why I can declare war on that. I usually don't. I just don't want to be in France right now. It's going to be challenge enough to just manage England, because these Vikings are tough. And I think that's why this is rated hard. So right now the messages aren't very, there's not much that we need to do. We're currently involved in 2 wars. This first war, you can see the blue is our allies, the red is our enemies. And actually, yeah. So we got the Petty King of Mercia, which is this guy, and when you click on it, it turns purple. And then there's the Wessex one, and then the defender here is East Anglia, which is this guy. He's the defender. Okay, the attacker is Jarl Ivar the Boneless, which is all of this up here in Scotland, the Isle of Man, and then a portion of Ireland. So, what would that be? He's like the Picts, right? There's the Saxons and the Picts. I guess he would be part of the Picts. But anyways, they're at war. They're trying to take this. The other war that's going on is you got up here in Sweden and Jorvik. They are at war with Northumbria, which is this territory. And then, of course, they have allies here, here, and here. So we are at war with them, but we're just this tiny little county. So that war is not our war to fight. Let's just put it that way. I more or less recommend that you ignore it. And you can see here that the total soldiers of all of the alliances is 3,400. And then his total soldiers is 7,000. It's a losing battle. Northumbria doesn't last very long. East Anglia, I've seen that one get defended. Like, you can win the other one. This one is really difficult. I have defended Northumbria before and was able to keep it there, but I don't know what good it does. Because going to war with other Christian nations is harder than going to war with tribals, because they're considered heathens, right? So you can make it a holy war. So a holy war against, to take this territory is easier, and it's easier to gobble up the territory, assuming you can win. That's a big assumption. Okay, one of the things I forgot to show is these are the different map modes. So right now we're looking at realm mode. This is all the duchy titles. So these are the dukes. So you can see here, this is our county, and this is the Duke of Wessex. And the Petty Kingdom guy, he's basically holding 4 titles. He's the Duchy of Essex, Kent, I don't even know how you pronounce that, Witchy. I apologize, I don't know how you pronounce that. And then Wessex. And you can see, that. So then we go to kingdoms. So you can create the Kingdom of England at some point, and that would be considered the territory. The Kingdom of Wales, Ireland, and Alba are their own, and you can see Norway, etc. So these are the various kingdoms. It doesn't mean those kingdoms exist. It's just showing you that if you were to create the Kingdom of Pannonia, this is the territory that you would need to have as part of that kingdom. And what they call it is, there's like the term is dugere, or something like that. And basically the dugere Kingdom of England, see it right here, it says it's not created. You can see right here. But this kingdom, if I were the King of England, and I didn't control territory up here, this is considered my dugere territory, so I can declare war to claim. I have claims on that land, is basically it. So if I'm the King of England, then I'll have claims on anything that you see that's in here for England. I won't have claims on Wales, for example. But there's ways to take that territory as well. And then lastly, there's empires. So this is the Empire of Britannia, which you would then have an emperor title. There's only one emperor I'm aware of, and that's the Byzantine Emperor. Actually, these guys are emperors too, the Francia. But you can see the Byzantine Empire is huge. But in the game, this is all the bigger it is right now. So he basically has claims on here, all of Italy, all of this stuff. So they can expand a lot. And then one of the things you can see, here's the different faiths. So you can see the Catholic faith is predominantly here. And there's a Coptic faith down here, which is Christian. It's just not Catholic. And then, of course, Orthodox here, and all the different kinds. And then the Asatru is one of the the Viking faiths. I know for sure they have cannibalism. There's some interesting stuff. And then over here you can see there's a whole bunch of different faiths, into India. The lines, of course, mean that that's the faith, but that doesn't mean the people or the government running it is of the same faith, so there's a conflict. So I think that would make these really difficult. You got the cultures, which again, here you have Anglo-Saxon, Cornish, so there's different cultures. And of course, this is the House of Wessex, etc. Don't worry too much about that one. But the one I wanted to show you is development. Development is like how mature your city is. And ultimately it translates to how much money can you make, right? I would, so like for example, New York City is highly developed compared to Cheyenne, Wyoming, right? They're both cities. Cheyenne is nothing to laugh about in terms of its size, but it's nothing compared to New York, right? It's not as developed as New York is. So that's what the development means in this game. And so the darker purple is really low development. In fact, these are 0 development. You can see it showing up on the screen there. And then the lighter yellow here you can see is 15 development. So you can see Rome is actually at 25 development. And then in England, 8, 9 in London here. 9 is the best you can ask for. And then up here it gets pretty bad, down to 2. Highly developed areas are really good because they give you money. And you can see Constantinople's 25, so it's highly developed. The reason I bring this up is because there's a very curious thing here. Look at India. Holy cow, there's high developed areas everywhere along the river here. So along this river and this one, and please don't ask me what the names of these rivers are, I'm not that good. And then down south here, there's some, like that's 25 development, 25. I mean, these are Rome and Constantinople level development, right? So I think there's some pretty interesting money-making games you can have over here. Money will not be a issue. But as far as we go, yeah, we're starting off as what's considered to be the Western, developed nations. However, they're not very developed, especially England. The England area is very poor, and you can see we're starting with a 6 and a 5. Okay. So enough of that. Let's get back to regular mode and let's talk about getting into the game. One of the things we need to do is choose a lifestyle, and that's this thing. So our guy here was educated as a child a certain way, and when you get educated as a child, you're going to get one of these. So this is a brilliant strategist, and then it has 4 stars. So basically, he was educated in the martial lifestyle, and he has the 4 stars is the best you can get. He has the highest ranking one possible. Now, basically, when I say this, you can be educated in any of these skills. So diplomacy, martial, stewardship, intrigue, or learning. Okay, so there's 5 of them. And so you can have one of 5 things. Now, if you're educated in stewardship, which is, see that's a green number, or a green background there, this will be a green icon. And then there's 4 levels of that. If you're educated in intrigue, you'll have a purple icon, and there's 4 levels of that. So what I'm trying to get at is that there's this first symbol here will always match what you're educated in, and it's always going to be one of these skills, and hopefully it's one of your better ones, your better skills. Like if he was a 4-star intrigue with only a level 8 here, that would suck, or it'd be very difficult. And then here you can see he's got the Reaver speed, which, it's just some commander trait that he acquired. And then this is a physical trait that he got from childbirth, or when he was born. He got it from his parents, and he has the ability to pass this along to his kids because it's congenital. And so when he has kids, they could possibly become intelligent. And intelligent is awesome. Look here, you get +3 in everything. Plus you get an extra 20% in your lifestyle. So that's what we're doing. We have to choose what our lifestyle is going to be. So there's a couple ways. You could click here or you could click here. And you get to choose. So, like, for example, I can choose to do the intrigue lifestyle if I want, and then I would choose one of these 3. And then what he's going to do is he's going to start getting experience points towards this lifestyle. And then after he gets enough experience points, you can see here he needs 1,000. After he gets 1,000, he'll unlock a perk, and then he can pick one of these and go down the tree. Okay. Obviously, I don't recommend this one because you can see he only has an 8. Although that doesn't matter as much for getting points. What matters is when you do things to get points, you could see that he had the intelligence skill. Remember? That intelligence skill said within it, in the text, it gives you a plus 20% towards lifestyle experience points. That's what this is. So if I click here, this is considered a lifestyle. And because I'm martially educated, I get a 40% bonus in this lifestyle. And then it doesn't say it anywhere here, but if you look back at his character, monthly lifestyle plus 20%. And it doesn't matter what lifestyle you choose. For this guy, I only get the 40% bonus if it's martial. Okay? He gives me a 40% bonus. So you take the 2 together, and you're getting a 60% bonus if you choose martial. And that's what I like to do. Now, I've seen people play games where they choose something else, right? They go down like the stewardship path. It's all available. The world's your oyster in this game. I think if you're min-maxing and trying to be really optimal, there might be some advantage to doing that. And there's some pretty interesting, strategies. Like I told you, I like to play simple. I'm getting a 60% bonus in this lifestyle, so I'm going to take this lifestyle. And I try to get all 3 of these trees filled out. Before he dies, I can get at least 2 of these for sure, and then I'm usually halfway through before he dies. So even with the 60% bonus, I'm not going to fill in all 3 of these. It's really, really hard to do. Now, one of the things I saw is right here, this whole of body, under learning. If you fill this out, you actually get bonuses to your health and you live longer. So you won't die as quickly if you can get this thing filled out. So I think some of what people do is they come here and take this for a bit and then switch back to martial or whatever. It's a very interesting strategy. I just never tried it. One thing to point out, though, is whichever one I pick, I'm locked in for at least 5 years before I can change it again. So you can't just change these willy-nilly, but you can change it, though. Now, within the martial branch, this is pretty random. You usually get one of these. I got the Stalwart Leader, which I'm happy with. This focus tends to go with this tree, but it's just a very loose thing. Don't take that literally. Don't think that you're obligated to pick chivalry just because you're going down the chivalry path. However, that is what I'm going to do in this case. Of the 3, I like this one the most because this one gives me a bonus to my prowess, and my prowess is very important whenever you're a knight. And now what's interesting here is he's not a knight, he's a leader, but he can be a commander over his own armies, which I find that to be helpful. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. The attraction opinion can be good. The advantage of 5 is really helpful in battles. If you have advantage over your enemy, I think you do double damage when you have an advantage, but the advantage can constantly change. Like, it's not a constant the entire battle. The other thing I would recommend, I think all 3 of these are good. The martial plus 3, the higher your martial skill, the better you are at leading armies. And then this authority focus isn't quite as good in the martial, but dread will prevent people from rebelling against you. And then the control growth is good because when Vikings come and raid your territory, which they do, they create chaos and you lose control over your areas. And you have to regain the control. They're constantly ruining your ability to control your areas. So is 0.3 a month, awesome? I don't know. I mean, it's better than nothing. But control is a very big deal in England. I don't think control is as big of a deal like if I'm playing in Italy. because I'm not getting raided by Vikings down there. It's the raiding that really gets you and causes your control to go down. So, you know what I'm going to do for the sake of just trying something different? I'm going to do the strategy focus, and it gives you, some extra information, and it's basically saying that with my martial experience, I get bonuses because I have these traits, and I'm somebody else's martial. So I'm going to just say select. And that's all you do. I know I spent a long time talking about this, but it's actually a very important decision. Okay, so what else do you need to do? Well, you got these little information tabs. I'm going to go through some of these quickly. The realm is showing you your domain. The Petty Kingdom of Wessex is my domain, and within it, I'm the Earl of Dorset, and I'm the Earl of Somerset. These are mine, or they're in my realm. And if I click on them, you can see that I am the Earl. That could be given to my children or somebody else. And I'm the Earl of both. And then within Dorset, there is the Borough of Poole and the Bishopric of Shaftesbury. An easier way to look at it is just to click on them. So if I click on Dorset, you can see there's 4 things. This castle is Dorset itself. So when somebody says the County of Dorset, or the Barony of Dorset, that's the castle, okay? And the castle is your holding. You control that, okay? Whoever's the county head controls the castle. Now, it is possible for there to be 2 castles, and then that can get divided up and etc. And then there's a city. You're never allowed to control the city. The city is always managed by a steward. And in an England case, they always call them reeves. So basically it's the mayor, right? But they call it the reeve. So this city always has to be managed by somebody. And that somebody reports to you. So one thing that I want to get out of the way really quickly is you get taxes, right? So it's showing here I'm going to get 1.8 per month from Dorset. And I'm going to get a half per month from Bath, okay? So where does that 1.8 come from? And you can see it up here as well. I'm going to get 2.4 total, 0.2 of it from Vassals, 0.3 from church, and then I have expenses, etc. Well, let's look at the castle. The castle is controlled by me. It's going to generate 1.88 tax a month. And you can see here that it is boosted 26% because my stewardship is awesome. Remember, I have like a 21 stewardship. All right. If I go to the mayor, or the reeve, he's giving me 0.92, and you can see I'm only getting 8% stewardship there. Now you might be wondering, well, hold on. You had 21 plus stewardship. Well, the problem is that this is managed by him, not me. So his stewardship is only a 12. So he only gives, and you can see here, he only gives 8% because he has 12. So that city is going to generate less tax revenue. Like dollar for dollar, he's going to give me less or generate less taxes. Now, you can always build buildings. Like this farm and field will increase the taxes by a half per month. So this 0.92 will go up by 0.5 and what becomes 1.42, and then it gets boosted by 8%, because of that. So one of the things I wanted to say right away is that same farm and field of 0.5 per month, if I build it here under the castle, right? So I have 4 things I can build under the castle. That 0.5 will take me to, 2.3, but then I'm getting a 26% bonus instead of an 8%. So now I'm adding another 26% to that. So my long-winded way of saying you'll make more money if you build in the regions where it has the highest stewardship. As soon as this guy dies and somebody else takes over, the stewardship goes away and it switches to whatever the new stewardship value is. So it can be fleeting, meaning that, yeah, I'm making a lot of money now, but I won't later. But this guy is 18 years old. He's healthy as an ox. He's going to probably live until his 50s, maybe 60s if you're lucky. In the beginning of the game, this is the kind of stuff you really want to focus on because you want to make money early and quick. you're going to want to build up the areas that you have direct control over versus the areas you have to give control. This is considered, all cities are considered republics, by the way. And then the bishopric, this is the temple, and it's the same deal. You're getting taxes, and here you can see the stewardship is only 6% because it's managed by your bishop instead of you. Just like this is managed by your reeve instead of you. All right, so getting back to this screen, you can see here that you have the earldom of Dorset. The pool is the one that's managed by Reeve Stigand, and you can see it says Reeve Stigand of Pool right there, right here, right? So that's what we were just looking at. And then the bishopric of Shaftesbury, of course, is running the other thing. So, all told, I'm getting 1.8 from everything combined. What I'm getting from my castle and what I'm getting from each of these two. Okay, and then what it's saying is that there's an empty holding. And so there's two ways to look at it again. Remember, we're going to come back and click on this. That empty holding is this thing. So we can construct a new castle, city, or temple at some point in time. You need certain technology to be able to do these, and you need a lot of money. So you're not going to be able to do that right away. But yes, I have room for one more. And it's very important when you look on here, you can see that here's my castle, right? Here's the city. Here's the bishopric. And the empty one is here. That's very important because if it's in the woods or on a mountain, you may want to build a castle, like on a mountain, for example, because that castle will be harder for the enemy to take when they siege it. Those are things to just consider. I'm not saying that you want to do it for sure. Okay, so it gives you your overview here, and then under your vassals, you have all your vassals listed here, and then you have Republic, right? This Republic tab are your cities. And remember, you can never control your cities, so you're always going to have Republic vassals, and here he is. You got Reeve Stigand, and he's giving me 0.2, and levies, he's giving me 7 soldiers a month. So you can, break it out between, everybody you have that reports to you versus your republic. And I'm not sure, but I think that the bishoprics start to show up too, if you have more than one. I don't, obviously he's not here now. And then for your secession, these are your secession rules. Most of these you can't change at the beginning of the game, especially 867. And basically it's saying that when I die, I will start playing as my brother, the guy that I'm hoping will die, first. But I would switch to him if I somehow die right away. And that's it for that. And now moving on, you have, this is a very important one. This is how you raise your armies and go to war. I won't get into it too deeply right now. The biggest thing when you're at peace or at the start of the game that you need to worry about is, first of all, I can muster 462. So if I click on this button, 462 soldiers are going to be available for me to use. That's not a lot. I have 5 knights, and this is where it becomes very important. So I click on this, and I have this guy here who's willing to be my knight, and this is where the prowess number comes in. Prowess, each point gives a knight 100 damage and 10 toughness. So at 12 points, he's going to do, 120 damage and have a lot of toughness. Did I do that right? No, 1,200 damage and have 120 toughness. So the knights are with your army. So this 462 armies are going to have 5 knights along with them. And it's just like in the movies. I mean, the knights go in and they're badass. They do things. They kill way more people than your armies will, especially at a 12 prowess. So this guy is really, really good. I want to bring him to my court. So it's going to cost me 15, and heck yeah. And he's very grateful, so his opinion of me goes up. And so here you can see his opinion is plus 60. He's now my best knight in the game. And so your top 5 become your knights. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you can see they all say knight. And then down here, this guy also says knight, but I guarantee you it'll go away. As soon as I unpause, he'll become a knight, and this one will go away. Now, you can see these guys aren't really good knights. because they're not. You really want to get them out of the fighting on the front lines as a knight, and these guys are probably better as counselors or something else. So one of the things you can do is you can invite knights to your kingdom, and that's how you can get more knights to come. Couple caveats. Number one, it costs your crown points, prestige, which we haven't gone over. And number two, you can only do it like once every so many years. I mean, there's a period of time where you have to go through a cooldown before you can do it again. So right now, I'm just going to live with what I have. The fact that I had one available right away was great. Okay, and then, like I said, I'll go into more of this later. Also, before I continue, there's basically 4 economy things you need to manage. Your money, which we've talked about quite a bit actually already. Your prestige is how well your fame is. So right now I am established, and I'm making progress towards being distinguished. And you can see it's the 3rd level of fame. The next level after that would be illustrious. And I think there's 5 total levels. And you can see you get bonuses for going up levels. Prestige is basically when you want to get favors from people, you're spending prestige. Like, for example, I wanted to go recruit knights. I have to spend prestige to go get knights. You typically want to have as much prestige as possible. It's a resource that you do spend, however, and and right now you can see I'm getting 0.9 a month, which is pretty bad. You want to get that number a lot higher. And then piety is, of course, your religious favor, but it's treated as like money. Okay, it's religious money. So if I want a favor from the Pope, I'm going to spend piety to get it. And so you have to have so many piety points to be able to do that. If I want to declare a holy war on a Viking, for example, I have to spend piety to declare holy wars. But there's things I can do to make that go up as well. Then this last one is Renown, and I haven't gone into this, but this is basically our family. So he is part of the Sertising dynasty. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly either. That's my family, okay? It's the dynasty of House Wessex, but this is my family crest, and you can see my level of splendor is obscure. Nobody knows who we are. I have 108 renown, and that number goes up by a tiny bit. And then once I get to 250, I can pick a legacy, which is any of these. It's like leveling up. And you can choose any of these things, and they give you bonuses that apply for your dynasty forever. So, for example, bounteous loins. The fertility of myself and all the children and anybody else in my family will be at 10%, and everybody will have extra attraction to me, so it's easier to get married, etc., etc. And that bonus would be forever. So these accumulate very slowly, but it's really important, and it's really the primary thing you're trying to do in the game. Just another reminder, you can muster 462 troops, and then this is how many counties I can control directly, versus if I go over that limit, I have to start giving up a few and letting somebody else manage it. And they'll still report to me. I'll be their liege, but I remember that whole thing we went through where you're only getting so much money, etc. Okay, so I have to stop here. One of the things is the council. So before I can unpause, we have to go over this. But I am out of time. I have to get back to an errand here. So the video will stop here. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. And I'll try to, continue this. Like I said, we got to go through one more thing before I can unpause. These other ones down here are important, but they're not as important to go through before you unpause. And we'll just talk about things as they come. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay awesome.